Welcome back to the deep dive. Our mission today is to take a pretty dense stack of organizational research and really turn it into actionable strategy for you.
Make it usable.
Exactly. We are plunging headfirst into the, let's be honest, chaotic world of AI integration. And we're trying to answer a critical question. Why do so many expensive AI initiatives just stall or even fail outright? Our sources have distilled the answer down to 8 non-negotiable best practices. They're calling them the 8 green flags of an AI-ready organization.
Okay, let's unpack this.
Yeah.
And this isn't about the technology itself, right? It's more of a complete diagnostic checklist for an organization's readiness.
That's the key. The biggest mistake we see is organizations treating AI like it's just some shrink-wrapped software you can install and then, forget about.
Right.
These flags, they force a shift in perspective. If you're only focused on acquisition, on buying the tool, you completely ignore the foundational work you need to do to actually use it.
So you're saying it's about strategy before spending. Precisely. Strategic alignment, application, all before you even think about spending a dollar.
So let's jump right into that foundational phase then, the technical groundwork. These first 3 flags seem almost obvious, but the research shows they're the ones most companies skip when they're rushing.
That rush always kills the rollout. Always.
Okay, so flag number 1 hits that impulse buy tendency right on the head. Build workflows before buying tools.
Yes.
Our sources are, absolutely insistent that successful AI adoption has to start with defining clear human workflows first.
Before you even look at a vendor.
Right. You have to understand exactly where the AI integrates, where's the handoff, what is the human check, what's the output for.
This is so crucial. If you skip this, you end up with what we call AI orphans.
AI orphans?
Yeah, tools that just sit there unused because they don't actually fit into anyone's daily routine. You buy a massive language model API, but you haven't defined the task. Like, say, synthesizing market research reports.
So you have a new expense, but no problem solved.
Exactly. You've introduced a cost without solving a real workflow problem. It has to be dictated by a validated operational need.
Okay, so once that workflow is defined, we immediately hit flag number 2. This one seems like the most resource-intensive and maybe the most ignored.
Oh, for sure.
Clean and structured data before expecting results.
This is where the rubber really meets the road. It's not enough to just say garbage in, garbage out anymore.
That feels too simple.
It is. The real issue now is less about just, general data quality and much more about data governance and structure.
So what's the real distinction there based on the material?
Well, data cleanliness is about scrubbing duplicates, fixing typos, basic stuff.
Right.
But data structure and governance, especially for modern AI, that means making sure your data is organized, it's labeled, and it's accessible in a standardized way across all your different departments.
That sounds like a massive project.
It is. One source we looked at said that in many initial AI projects, something like 70 to 80% of the entire project time is just preparing and integrating legacy data.
Wow. 70 to 80%.
If you don't commit to that effort upfront, you're building a skyscraper on quicksand. The models will hallucinate, or even worse, they'll give you confidently wrong answers.
That statistic on the effort really drives home the cost of skipping this. So, okay, we have the process defined, the data is clean and structured. That takes us to flag number 3, which feels like it protects you from all the peer pressure out there.
The hype cycle.
Exactly. Practical use cases over AI hype. This means consciously avoiding those speculative projects that look great in a press release, but, deliver 0 actual return.
Right.
The sources advise prioritizing real-world, sometimes boring applications that immediately help the business. Things like automating contract sorting or speeding up invoice reconciliation.
And focusing on those small, concrete wins is critical. It builds internal confidence and, maybe more importantly, trust in the new tools.
So a small win is better than a big, flashy failure.
Absolutely. A single successful internal deployment that improves efficiency by just 5% is worth so much more than some multi-million-dollar headline-grabbing project that doesn't actually tie back to your core profitability.
The AI should solve a real problem.
A tangible business problem, not just prove a technical capability.
That really wraps up the technical groundwork nicely. Clear processes, clean data, realistic goals. But as we know, The organizational hurdles are often much, much higher than the technical ones.
Oh, absolutely. And if we connect this to the bigger picture, this next phase pivots entirely to organizational architecture, the human element.
This is where it gets tricky.
It's where success is truly forged or, abandoned. Flag number 4 is all about managing fear and fostering adaptation. Empower people, not blame AI adoption issues.
This is all about the culture then.
Completely.
If an organization sees AI as just a way to cut staff, or if they punish employees for struggling with a new tool, you're just creating resistance from day one.
Precisely. Success hinges entirely on how well the team adapts. And that means you have to invest in reskilling, in continuous training, and in psychological safety.
And when problems come up, because they always do,
They will. And when they do, the organization has to have a culture of learning. If a manager's first instinct is to blame the team for low uptake, instead of asking why the workflow isn't working, innovation just dies.
people have to feel safe to experiment.
And to give honest feedback on the tool's shortcomings, yeah.
That psychological safety point is key. If I'm worried that reporting a flaw in the new system is going to look bad on my performance review, I'll just hide it,
And stop using the tool.
making the whole investment useless.
Yep.
And speaking of managing complexity, flag number 5 is that non-negotiable safeguard that so many companies treat as an afterthought.
To their own peril.
Involves security and legal early on.
You just can't build a complex AI system and then, at deployment, walk over to your legal team and ask them to rubber stamp it.
It's too late by then.
Way too late. We're talking about data sovereignty, intellectual property, managing model risk. The legal framework around this stuff is changing constantly.
So they have to be there from the beginning.
From the design phase, they need to define acceptable data sources, permissible uses, safeguards against data leakage or deepfake risks. The cost of a single GDPR violation or a big IP breach from a hallucinating model, it just far outweighs the friction of getting them involved early.
It's a preventative strategy.
Exactly. Waiting until deployment to find out you've been using PII in a way that violates policy. That's the fastest way to derail a multi-year project.
Okay, so we built the foundation, handled the cultural shift, secured the compliance path. Now we're in the final phase, which is all about measurement and sustainability. And here's where it gets really interesting. Flag number 6 completely reframes how you track success. Measure behavior change, not licenses activated.
This is such a phenomenal pivot away from vanity metrics.
Right. Organizations love to announce we bought 10,000 seats for this new AI tool.
But that metric tells you nothing about productivity. All it tells you is the size of the check you wrote to the vendor.
So the true impact has to be measured by the behavior change the AI enables.
Specific, measurable shifts.
Are your employees spending less time on manual data entry? Have you cut the turnaround time for generating draft documents by, say, 30%?
The sources really stress focusing on those process metrics that prove the tool is actually changing how work gets done, not just how many people have the icon on their desktop.
And to do that, you need a baseline.
You have to establish a solid baseline before you integrate. So if your procurement team used to take 8 hours to reconcile an invoice batch, and now with AI it takes 2, that 6-hour saving, that is your metric of success.
It proves behavior has changed.
And that the AI is delivering actual operational value.
That operational reality check flows right into flag number 7, which forces us to abandon the whole idea of a simple one-time software purchase.
Yeah, this one is a big mindset shift.
Except that AI learning is iterative.
What's fascinating here is that, unlike traditional software, AI models are never really done.
They're not static.
Not at all. They're dynamic systems. This isn't a one-time update that gets installed and runs for 5 years. They need time to learn, and critically, they need continuous retraining as more data becomes available.
And we're all generating more data constantly.
Exponentially more. So treating AI as a fixed solution is a guaranteed path to model drift and stagnation. Its performance will just degrade over time because the world it's trying to understand has changed.
So that iterative learning requires dedicated MLOps or model operations.
Yes, to manage those feedback loops.
But doesn't that continuous iteration just dramatically increase the long-term resource commitment? If you're constantly retraining models, you need specialized talent forever.
It absolutely does. And that's exactly why the final flag is so important for sustainability. You might outsource the initial build, but you cannot outsource the long-term ownership of that model's performance.
Which brings us perfectly to flag number 8, the sustainability engine.
The long-term plan.
create internal AI champions.
Yeah.
And the idea here isn't that you have to go out and hire 50 new PhDs in machine learning.
No, not at all.
It's about training your existing high-performing employees, the ones who already deeply understand the business needs, your subject matter experts, and making them the liaisons, the trainers, the first-line managers for these models.
If you rely only on external consultants, you create this critical dependency, a knowledge silo.
And when they leave, the knowledge leaves with them.
Exactly. Internal champions, often pulled from your existing IT or data teams, they're the ones who drive long-term adoption, maintain the models, and they have the internal context to correctly interpret and refine the model's outputs.
And that reduces your reliance on expensive outsourcing.
It embeds AI thinking across the entire organization.
So what does this all mean? When we put it all together, we've gone from the technical foundation workflows, clean data, practical use cases,
Through the human and compliance side empowering teams, getting legal involved early,
and then landed on measuring what really matters, behavior change, iterative learning, and building that in-house talent.
it means that being AI ready is fundamentally about organizational preparedness and really a cultural willingness to adapt. It's not about purchasing power.
So adopting these 8 flags, it shifts AI from being this fragile experiment.
To an essential, reliable, and continuously improving part of your daily operations.
This feels like a complete roadmap then. A way to manage the complexity and ensure this stuff actually lasts.
And that leads us to the final provocative thought we want to leave you with. It connects that need for iterative learning in Flag 7 with the internal talent in Flag 8.
Okay.
So if AI models constantly need refinement as new data comes in, and your internal champions are the ones managing those feedback loops, how does that necessity of continuous iterative learning change the long-term required skill set for every single employee, the non-technical user?
So their role changes from just using the tool.
Right. Does their role transform from being a passive consumer to being an active, critical manager of a data feedback loop? That's something to mull over as you plan your own organization's path forward.
A lot to think about there. Thanks for diving deep with us. We'll catch you next time.